Welcome to the Dataliction podcast. My name's John. I'm here on the team getting a great guest episode. Oh, I'm so excited. I've got Travis here. I've got Jason here. We're going to have an incredible conversation today. Before I get into it, I do want to make sure, please like, share, and subscribe. Sometimes I wait till the end of the episode, but I'm asking now because I'm telling you what, you're going to want to do this by the time you listen through all of these incredible questions that we have prepared for today. So feel free, share it on your LinkedIn, on your Instagram, wherever you consume the content. Please share, because we are learners who help other people learn specifically around AI. We're super excited to be talking about AI here at Dataliction on the podcast. So I'm just going to get right into it. Travis, thanks for also being here. Obviously, we're all in different spaces. This is a virtual episode today, but Travis, go ahead and take it away. Set up our guest today on how you got connected and why you're so excited to have him here today.
Yeah, thank you, John. And I would love to introduce to you guys Jason. Jason has been an amazing friend of mine and been amazing colleague as well. We got to know each other from this program called C12 and is a CEO roundtable. And I just got to know him, and the way he thinks has just been just amazing. But Jason, you've got some amazing news. Like you have taken companies and you've helped grow them, and now you're launching this new product. I would love for you guys just to talk a little bit about it. I got to see a demo. You did it in front of like this huge crowd here in Indianapolis, and it was just an amazing experience. But Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of your company, what you've been up to, and please, give us a little bit on Process Coach. So,
yeah, well, thanks so much for having me here. I'm really excited to just share ideas and talk and learn new things from you all as well. You know, my wife and I started this business about 13 years ago, and what we're really passionate about is just helping people do meaningful work. I think most people wake up in the morning and they think, man, I want to do strategic, relational type of work, and there's just a lot of mundane stuff that gets in the way. And so we set out really to try and figure out how can we free people up from that mundane and the monotony of day to day so that they can do work that actually matters. And as we learn more and more about AI, and I've been studying it for 30 some years, as we actually see it become more practical, became pretty obvious that this tool can help people do work if it's used and applied appropriately. And so that's where Process Coach came about. That's where we got excited about building a platform where we could provide all the tools necessary for a business to leverage AI and automation in a way that actually makes sense. So we say we build tools for intelligent companies, and that's what we're trying to put out there is with Process Coaches is a tool that lets you really use AI in your day-to-day operations, so that it's actually a thought partner that helps you get your job done, as opposed to just this other websites you have to go visit whenever you have a question about something.
Jason, I love how you just referenced the fact that companies are intelligent. And when I've been typing AI, Travis knows this, I have been putting A and then a tiny I first because I think it looks like Al. And I just don't like it seeing Al everywhere. But that said, I do like the idea that the intelligence that is artificial intelligence is a little I. And I think that it should reflect our intelligence as companies. So I love the way that you just broke that down. I also love that you've referenced purposeful work. Travis and I regularly at Dataliction say we want to help companies grow on purpose, and you can only grow with the right tools. And thank you for what you're doing in the space, Jason. Thank you for how you continue to learn. You didn't just go gather a bunch of information, build something, but you're a learner. I love that about you. Let's talk about these AI projects, though. You obviously are figuring out a way to connect AI solutions to the core business itself, which is helping you succeed, which also sets you apart in the small 5% minority of these AI projects that are actually working. I'm desperate to get your wisdom to help other people know how do they not fall into that 95%. So first, let's just talk about the landscape. You've been studying this for a long time. You've seen all the money being dumped into this. Why are AI projects so hot and at the same time failing pretty regularly?
Yeah. So let's start with why they're so hot. And I think some of it is a really good marketing, in that the hype kind of exceeds some of the practicality of it. And some of that is because um, it is really cool. Like we really haven't seen technology where you can go and say, "Hey, can you write me a poem?" and it does that, right? Like that's pretty revolutionary. And from a tech standpoint, what that means to me is we've been able to create goal-seeking technology that we can give this computer a goal and it figures out how to get there. That makes it pretty hot. Like I don't know about you, but if I can do that in my business and I can say, here's what I want to accomplish, tell me how to get there, that's worth a lot of money. So that's the hype around it. And my imagination can run wild if you give me those as my boundaries. So with my imagination running wild and that hype and all the marketing and what everyone's saying about it, and then you see crazy things like these videos that make it look like reality and virtual reality are like the same thing, and it's making it all happen. You start to imagine ways that this could revolutionize your business, that you could never even begin to dream about a year ago. The problem is, if you've used it much, it's really not that smart. like, so, so you start to play with it and you realize pretty quickly, like it does some really cool things and it could really be helpful, but it also does some really dumb things. And I'm not always sure when it's going to do that. And so there's this like trust component that we haven't quite figured out yet. And so the projects that are the hype that drives it, that creates this like massive investment opportunity or massive investment that people are putting into it, yeah, they end up not hitting the hype, which is when they very quickly kind of fall off the cliff and they're like, well, it's not worth it at all. And so I feel like businesses are stuck in between these two worlds. There's this one world that says, if you don't jump on this train right now, you will be left behind and your business will go under. That is terrifying. And so we got this fear gripping us on the one hand. And we have the other hand that says, like the study you've been referencing, the MIT study, 95% of these projects are failing. So if I don't jump on the train, I'm going to die on one hand, and I need to burn money on the other hand. Like I don't have a good option, but I have to do something, is what everyone's feeling. And that's really where we wanted to come in and be like, yeah, you know why they're failing? Is because it's because you're creating a strategy for a tool as opposed to a strategy for your business. And it's like you don't make a strategy for a hammer. Like you know what a hammer does. You use a hammer for what a hammer does. It's like so you want to make sure that when you're the reason these projects fail is because you come in and you're like, I need a strategy for AI. Well, the hype is going to always exceed the practicality of it. But if we look out where your business is going, we say, hey, 3 years from now, this is what we want to be doing. What's standing in my way? What obstacles do I have for making that happen? And is AI the right tool to solve those problems so that I can hit those goals? Maybe, maybe not. Let's get the right tool. If it's the right tool, hey, you're going to be successful because you're solving a problem that grows your business.
I love that, Jason. I mean, we were just talking about that, and it was all around, hey, AI is great. There's a lot of hype. I'm watching YouTube videos, and everybody says, do this connection and this connection, and it's going to replace everybody. And then you try to actually do those things, and you're like, wait a minute, it can barely write the email consistently for me. And what I love that you guys have done is you have said, "Hey, we're going to be able to take a lot of those, those videos and those try to do it on your own." And you've incorporated it into developing out an actual strategy for your business, and you lean into that first. I love how you're doing that with your company.
Yeah, well, I think that's important. And um, what I've observed with a lot of these AI tools is uh, they're separate tools that aren't a part of our day to day thinking. And so I have to remember, or I have to train my people to go to another place to answer a bunch of questions or to have it have some type of impact with me. And that to us was the number one like red flag. Like as soon as I have an outside tool, I, I'm probably gonna forget. like work's going to get busy. I'm going to go. I just not going to do it. But if I can get it into my day to day, it's where like it's literally a part of how I'm getting the job done. Now it can become a real advisor, and now it actually becomes something useful. Now, I still believe very much in human in the loop ideas, that idea that like, let's let AI do what it can, but let's let me as a human decide whether or not I did it right. Some people say trust but verify type of idea. Um, so we're very much about that. But like our thought was, hey, let's get it into what is the thing that a business does day to day, and let's make it so integral to that that it can advise you intelligently along the way and actually act as your thought partner. So that's where we said, hey, let's look at the standard operating procedures that a business runs. And if we can describe those in plain English and describe how we would assign tasks to the people who need to get that done and let AI kind of help manage that, now AI is managing the communication between your teams, which means when you reply, AI is there to offer its advice. And so it's changed. Our goal was to change the context from you have to go to AI to AI is right there with you, helping you get the job done every step of the way.
Jason, you've referenced something about changing the way you think in terms of your business process. And then I also appreciate how you referenced placing AI within the business practice itself, into the SOP, into your standard
Mhm.
daily, operating procedures and everything. So, I think that's really something that I want to reiterate for leaders who are wondering, how can I start to see AI be successfully implemented? Let's say that they've gone out, they've been strategic, like you said, they've thought of their business, they found some good, they've known they're gonna need a hammer and they're gonna need some nails. So they found that they have the project for that. But then it is, what if I'm not used to a nail and hammer and all, all these things? Like, I'm still used to tying stuff up with rope. And I'm a big Survivor fan, so I'm gonna watch the latest episode tonight. And in Survivor, you have people building things, just stacking it together, but then they get some tools later. How do we help people remember they've got tools over here? You're saying bring those tools into camp, put them right there in front of you so they're always top of mind, and then you're using in them regularly. What's the worst thing that a leader can do? Like, what is a guaranteed way to fall into that 95% that maybe would be surprising to a leader right now? They think, okay, I got to do something. My board's here. I'm excited. I went through I looked at 3 different vendors. I picked this vendor. I'm all excited. But because of all of your wisdom, they're going to go down that 95% path. What is it that they should not do to protect themselves right now to get over into the right side?
Don't don't throw the closed models at your people and expect it to have any impact.
So explain a closed model.
Um, the closed models are the models that are all they're out on the web. They're the Chat GPT, the Claudes, the Google Geminis. You have no idea what they're doing behind the scenes there, but you can interact with the front end. So we call them closed because their source isn't available, as opposed to open source models like GPT OSS is Chat GPT's version that you can download and run locally on your own environment. So those are open models. We can see how they all were put together. We know all the weights and biases, so we know how they all work. Um, as opposed to closed models where it's like it's a black box. You put your prompt in, you don't know what it does behind there, but you get a response out. So if you just come in and you're like, hey, whole entire company, you now have access to chat, use it and run. You're setting yourself up for failure. And part of the reason is the quality that you get out of the models is dependent upon the quality of the data you put into it. And so if you don't have controls around how and what people are and are not using with that, you're going to get vastly different responses. Here's another way I like to say it. I think of AI as a multiplier. And so the number goes from -5 to +5, where 0 is average. So if you're a slightly above average individual on a specific task, say you're a 1, and you start to use AI, it'll 10x your effectiveness. So if you're a 1 and you start using AI, you're probably running at about a 10, which is really awesome. You're doing some really cool things. But let's say you're slightly below average. You're a -1. It's going to do the same thing. You're going to 10x it, which is going to do what? Make you look really, really bad. Like it's going to make you a -10. Like it's going to do stuff that you don't even realize is wrong, and you can't catch it. So it's going to multiply the way that you're perceived externally by the way you use that. So if you just throw these models at people and say, have at it, all you're doing is magnifying what people do and don't know. You're not actually creating a systematic way for them to come in and approach a
Yeah,
systematic way for them to approach the
you're
problem.
getting right to the point of what I was going to follow up. One more quick thing, and I know that Travis is locked and loaded for the next question as well. But back to my quick follow up. The closed versions that are just available everywhere fundamentally are difficult to implement. That's why obviously a great team like yours and these processes where you actually build something for your people, that makes sense. But then you're also referencing sometimes people think AI is so smart you don't even need training. And so you're also, no matter what you do, make sure you're training your people because it's a new way to think. Is that what I'm hearing from you, Jason?
Yeah, it is. And you still have to know how to do your job. Like it I know we have the marketing that says it's going to take everyone's job away, but it isn't working out that way. Um, the most successful example of AI in the industry right now that we've seen, it makes sense. Who is it, right? It's the software developers. Like we're seeing massive leaps forward in the way that AI is able to write code and how it's able to build software. The tooling that is designed for software engineers to build software is very sophisticated. And we actually model a lot of our platform after those tools because it's where they work. It's in their face day to day. They don't have to go somewhere else. It understands the context of what they're doing. Like all the reasons why AI is going to be successful are set up in these software engineering tools. And yet when you talk to an engineer that's using it, most of them go, "Yeah, it's okay." Like like this is the most successful example of AI we have, and the people who are using it are going like, "Yeah, I'm not losing my job anytime soon." Um, because it does a great job with basics, but it doesn't do a good job with the advanced. And when it comes to building software, the basics are basic. It's the hard part is how do I handle 500,000 simultaneous users? It doesn't do that real well. And you'll see the same with everyone else's job. It's like, yeah, it can do the basics pretty well, but that's not really what you're paid to do. Like, like your job is because they're hard things and they're hard problems, and you got to solve those. And that's really where you see those guts come in. And so that's where I'm like we need to equip people, we need to understand it, but at the same time they've got to just know, they've got to know their job, they got to be good at their job, and the more we equip them to be good at their job, AI will magnify it. Like it'll be a multiplier like you can't imagine. But if they're not good, it's not going to help. It
Yeah.
might actually make it worse.
Yeah, I'm seeing, this statement out there. There's a lot of AI slop out there.
Mhm.
And it's now I'm finding that coworkers are like, yeah, they were a bad employee, and now it's making it even worse because they're just throwing, ChatGPT onto it, and they're like producing really crappy emails, and they're like
Yes.
their reports are horrible, and they're just like, yeah, it's just made a really, a bad employee worse. But on that flip side, it's making really good employees more efficient. I'm curious, like, do you feel like that those bad employees are, or maybe even how do we get out of that this loop of not having AI be tainted so much by these bad actors out there? Like, how do we overcome that? Or maybe you're starting to see, or maybe even better yet, how do you now start working with these teams and like executives who are wanting to roll out AI, but they're wanting to do it in the right way? What is kind of your procedures or even policies around that?
Yeah. So I love to use AI as a thought partner, where what we say is the way that we approach it is we're like, hey, at the end of the day, you're still responsible for the outcome that's happening here. This is your responsibility. We have not offloaded the responsibility to a computer. It is your responsibility. And therefore, anything that comes out of an AI conversation is ultimately your responsibility to validate. And we make sure that that's very clear over and over and over again. Now, we're going to use AI to do a lot of the kind of blocking and tackling because it can. It's good at it. And you really should be thinking more strategically, anyways. So we're going to let it do the blocking and tackling. But at the end of the day, if the blocking and tackling is wrong, it's still your problem. Um, kind of like a football coach. Like they're not out there blocking and tackling, but they lose the game. Who loses their job?
I love how you put that, because it is our responsibility. And even right now, as we are kind of moving in this age that I coach executives, I'm like, you might not understand all the nuts and bolts of AI, but it is your responsibility to be able to help train your people and to get information to them, and also say, well, just don't write just to write. It's also your work that you're putting
Yes.
behind it. So no, I love that. Okay, so Jason, where are you right now? So we're at the, we're at the cusp of this new AI age, and we're seeing lots of transformation. Give me a little bit on kind of some of your predictions right now, kind of where you're seeing the work evolving over time in the next, let's just, what, I'm not even going to say next year, over the next 6 months.
Have you heard of MCPs, Model Context Protocol? So, Model Context Protocol is a way that you can basically give AI tools for it to do work on your behalf. So think of like you have an intern and you're asking them to do a bunch of math. You can hand them a calculator. They now have a calculator that can do the math for them. Okay. Same idea. You have a tool online. Maybe it's a CRM, maybe it's an ERP system, something along those lines. You have some way of talking to it, and you can give it an MCP or a model context protocol. I don't know why they named it that. I mean, I do know why they named it that. It's just really geeky. It doesn't tell you anything about what it's doing. But you can give AI this tool, and it now can figure out when to use that tool and talk back and forth on your behalf. Um, that is kind of becoming the crux of what everyone is referring to as AI agents. Because an AI agent is basically a computer doing the thinking and planning and executing of a task for you. In order for it to do that, it's got to have access to tools. It's got to have access to the things that you want to do that work with. Um, so where you're going to see a lot of evolution over the next 3 to 6 months is going to be around AI agents doing work for you with these tools on your behalf. And they're pretty cool. Like, it blows my mind almost daily. Like, as much as I've been out here downplaying how dumb AI really is, at the same time, I'm like surprised like every single day by it. So, um,
Give us an example what you're talking about there. Like what are some of the things that you're building with it?
one of our processes is actually helping a private jet company manage the entire sourcing of private jets. So, and it's figuring out which tools to go talk to. It's figuring out how to go behind the scenes and get the information on your behalf. It's kind of the classic travel scenario that you often see when you're looking at AI examples. But it's like actually doing it. And that's like blowing my mind a little bit watching it actually make those decisions. I had a situation the other day where I was working on a sales process, and it went out to the CRM to do a search, and the search came back with an error, and with an error with a reason as to why it failed. The AI got to receive the error when it literally wrote out, "Oops, I did this all wrong. Now that they sent me the error, I know what right is. So here, let me try again." And it tried again, and it got the right result back. And it was like, "Oh, we're like getting fault tolerant now." Um, And so those are the kinds of areas that I'm just like, oh, well, that just blew my mind. Never had a computer tell me that it figured out how to fix my problem for me before. But that's pretty cool.
Hey, Jason, I have a question around ROI and how to communicate with executives. Obviously, you're working with a lot of leaders right now, and boards, CFOs, especially all the numbers people, they like the idea. It makes sense. Efficiencies, optimizations, there's a lot of general terms. What are some of the do's and don'ts in terms of putting ROI on these artificial intelligence, these agentic processes, whatever that might be, because obviously you've referenced it's maybe not as good as you think it is right now, but it can do more than you think. What are your guidelines for making sure and having healthy conversations around ROI at this moment that you have to step into ROI or step into AI, but you also do want to make sure you're not just burning money, you're keeping track of it. What's best practice for tracking ROI against implementation of AI?
I think I like to look at it again from the problem solving standpoint. Like, where are you trying to go? What's your strategy? What are the blockers that stand in your way? And what is the value of eliminating that blocker? Um, and then what are the right tools that we should be using to make that go away? That's how I approach it. So if AI is the right tool, then great. We just provided this kind of value that's helping you hit your goals. And that to me is a more effective way at looking at ROI than what a lot of people are doing, which is they're saying, how many hours are you spending on this task? And how many hours did AI save you by doing it? Therefore, you've saved a X amount of dollars in doing that. Okay, that's fine. But on the flip side, it's not like that person's left. Like, you're still paying their salary. Um, so it's like this needs to be strategically focused towards the fact that it is creating opportunity and capacity and um, driving towards the goals that you have, not down to just how many hours did you save on searching through your CRM. Um, don't get me wrong, there's value there, and there's that helps, but that helps cognitively, right? That helps the person who is like, oh man, my day is made up of 6 hours of searching CRM. It's like, well, if it can do that for you and they can think in a different level, the ROI you're getting is the fact that they're now thinking strategically about their job. They're not thinking about the day-to-day tactics. How do you measure that? Um, and so that's where, like, somebody that can now put that kind their intelligence towards solving the problems that are actually keeping you from moving forward, that's where value's at. And so that's why I like to keep coming back to, what are your obstacles? What are the things that are keeping you from growing your business? Let's measure the ROI of that, because we know that impact. We can figure that impact.
There's a lot of employees that will hide behind countless meetings, countless emails, and all these things. I think that people may try to hide behind certain types of AI as well. And so that's why I do think it's really important to pursue opportunity, like you said, as opposed to this is not about just shaving off a little bit of annoyance. This is about, no, you have something powerful to help you rethink your entire business, to highlight what makes you special, the purpose you have as a company. You can infuse that
Yes.
with the energy and the power of AI. Hey, Travis, I'm going to throw it over to you for one final kind of question before we get wrapped up. And Jason, just to put it on your radar, I'm going to make sure and give you an opportunity to share with our listeners on how to get connected with you, your incredible company, and everything. But hey, Travis, what are some final thoughts or questions or anything for our guest?
Yeah, so this one kind of cuts close to my heart right now. Is where there's so much software out there, a lot of hype around AI. How do you differentiate between the really good ones and the bad ones? How do you cut through that clutter, Jason? Like, what is maybe your litmus test as you're kind of looking through different software? And then I once again, I want to hear your thoughts, and as you just launched Process Coach.
That's a great question, and that's a really hard one to figure out. Um, but it does come back to me of, do they see that business problem, and are they articulating ways to execute against solving that problem that you're dealing with? Um, because again, I don't really care if it's AI or not, if it eliminates the issue. So those that are like coming in and being like, "Hey, we use AI, and it's all AI enabled." It's like, well, duh. Like, you should be. If you're not, I have issues, because it should be solving my problems better. So show me that you can solve that problem. And so that's where I come at it when I'm evaluating those tools, is show me how you solve the problem faster, or better, or in a way that frees me up in some way, shape, or form. Um, so that's where I'm thinking.
So it's almost like AI's table stakes. You're like, yeah, obviously you've got to implement, it's got to be used. Now is how.
Jason, this has been absolutely incredible. You are one of my favorite people to listen to. I could listen all day. I got to check out one of your lectures here pretty soon, or one of your, maybe even just take you out to coffee, get a personal lecture. That said, Jason, for the people who have loved what they've learned and they're ready to take their next step to get connected with you and your incredible team, what do they do? Where do they go? How do they find you as a person, your company, and all that?
Reach out to us, RoboSource, ROBOSOURCE.us is our website. You can also go to our product website, which is processcoach.ai. Both of those will get you to the same people. You can email me directly at my first name, Jason.Butler. Note my last name's spelled weird. It's spelled Beutler at robosource.us. That's me. You'll get a hold of me directly. Love to help anybody as they're exploring what this might look like and trying to figure out how to not become obsolete, but also not burn money. And how do you move forward in a world like that? So
Jason, we need people like you, so thanks for being a hero in this space. And for all of you who have continued to listen, you are also the heroes because you are learning with us. But heroes have responsibilities. You gotta share what you learned today. So please make sure, go on to LinkedIn, share that, just text it to a friend. Something I would love for you to do on LinkedIn, we get a lot of attention on Travis's weekly newsletter. You can sign up on our LinkedIn right there. Super easy way. Sometimes it's nicer to see it in LinkedIn instead of your email because, Travis has got like 10,000 emails in his inbox still today. I'm a zero inbox guy. I bet you Process Coach can help us with all of that. But that said, sign up for our newsletter on LinkedIn. Make sure to subscribe. And we are so grateful to help us all continue to take what we learn, turn it into the right action, and that action into growth. Thanks for listening to the Dataliction podcast.